Hey everyone, this is Brent Gritton, a wealth strategist here at Paradigm Life. Appreciate you taking the time to be on here today. Hope you guys are getting a lot of value out of the previous presentations today, and I'm confident that you will for the rest of today and tomorrow as well. To my clients, if it's been a little bit of time since we've touched base, let's catch up soon. Hope everyone is off to a great start with their holiday season. And if you're not one of my clients, you are in great hands with any other strategist here at Paradigm Life. And if you're coming to us for the first time today, welcome. Hope you get a lot out of these presentations. I would encourage you to pause and rewind once you have them available to you on demand, and continue to educate yourself. Props to being here. We're really excited about this event. So without further ado, let's dive into it. No pension, no problem. That is our topic today. I'm going to run through a brief agenda here. We'll start just kind of an introduction, talk a little bit about the defined benefit plans, defined contribution plans. What's the difference? Why is there one over another? And really kind of the problem that is presented to most Americans today when it comes to retirement income. We're then going to go over some of the solution, what we here at Paradigm Life in the perpetual wealth strategy, what we advise, what we feel to be putting folks in a better situation to create retirement income. We're also going to go over a case study. This was a real life case. We'll kind of talk about before and after, some of their details, where they were at. And then at the end, we'll kind of wrap things up. I will provide a few resources for you and where you can go from here. But as I mentioned, and as you can see with some of these pictures here, the focus today is going to be over retirement income. Now, again, with the perpetual wealth strategy, we have three phases: growth, income, and legacy. And regardless of if you've heard the topic that I'm going to be going over today or not, it doesn't matter. Some people are in different phases of their life, and so if your particular wealth strategist, or even myself, if I haven't covered this with you yet, or if you have not had it gone over with you, that's okay. It might have just not been the right time. There might have been more pertinent information for you. So let's dive into this. First of all, there's probably a number of you out there that maybe do have a pension plan through your employer, and if that's the case, you are extremely lucky. Nowadays, these are very difficult to come by. It's mainly going to be government employees and high-level executives. But just for those of you that don't have one or are not familiar with one, the defined benefit pension plan, really what it was, here's a definition here, was a qualified employer pension plan that guarantees a specified benefit level at and during retirement. Okay, so what does that mean? Basically, what would happen is based on your number of years with a company, okay, so we'll just say service, and typically the way it would work is off of your salary, there's then a formula that would guarantee you income for the rest of your life. Okay, this would then be a guaranteed ED paycheck. Again, those of you that have this, it's a beautiful thing. And actually this idea of lifetime income dates back into the Roman Empire. In fact, there was a couple years ago, there was an article in Market Watch that said, "Do as the Romans did." And Roman soldiers, they would be awarded a pension or an annuity, lifetime income payments for their years of service. And that really did kind of lay the foundation for the idea of generating lifetime income through annuities. Oftentimes, you're going to hear the word annuity and pension intertwined. More times than not, they do. That is accurate. As years have gone by, there are now many different types of annuities, but in their truest form, an annuity was meant to be guaranteed lifetime income. And that was then, again, dating back into Roman times. But what started to happen was, now that a lot of these defined benefit pension plans are non-existent, it's because the defined contribution plans came out. This happened in the late 70s, and the most common, what I'll just call it, let's just say it's the 401k. That is what is there for most people. You might have a 403b, basically the same type of thing. Okay, but what this did is it really, you'll see a chart here in a second that kind of goes over the differences, but it totally changed the focus of how retirement planning went. Okay, so the payout at retirement up here, the payout at retirement is dependent upon the amount of money contributed and the performance of the investment vehicles utilized. Okay, notice this has nothing that in there that says, hey, you're going to then have a guaranteed income for the rest of your life or a guaranteed paycheck. It really leaves that to being an unknown. Retirement income is now unknown. Okay, let's just hope and wish, right? And it left a lot of people out there saying, well, gosh, is this defined contribution plan? Is this really better for me? How does this work? And as time and time has gone on, I feel like nowadays it's just the norm. It is accepted that the 401k is the most sacred savings vehicle or retirement vehicle, which that's another thing. Those two words are far often intertwined too much, and they shouldn't be. There's a difference between savings and investing, but nowadays it's just accepted to be the norm. And when we really kind of take a look at this further and analyze the difference, there are many, but here are kind of the main ones. Notice over here on the left with the defined benefit, this was primarily the employer contributing to your plan. Okay, you show up at work every day, you do a great job, you succeed, and your retirement is largely going to then be funded based on your employer. And again, when I say retirement, the focus, remember, is retirement income. Okay, as with the defined contribution, this is now going to be the employee primarily contributing to the plan. Okay, so now this burden lies on you. Then once the money is in the plan, with the pension or the defined benefit, a trustee chooses where and how much to invest, whereas with you and the 401k, you are choosing your allocation, right? You have the ability in most cases to log on and select the various mutual funds that you would like to do. Some of you may, have a 401k plan representative come into your place of employment, sit down in the lunchroom or whatever it may be and help you with that. But at the end of the day, you have full control of what you are going to choose to invest your money in, with limitations based on whatever that plan is going to provide. Right now, I know there are a lot of folks out there that are not in the financial industry. In fact, you may be very, very, very good at what you do, and it takes up a ton of your time that you don't necessarily have the time or expertise, nor do some of you want to really understand, hey, gosh, is this where my money should be? Okay, so the risk now really kind of falls on you, right? And at the end here, again, with the focus being income, there is a guaranteed payout to you for the rest of your life. Whereas over here with the defined benefit, this is now unknown. Let's hope everything works out, right? So kind of the major difference here with the defined benefit, that focus was on income. You show up at work every day, you work there for a very, very long time, you max out your pension formula, and you are going to have a guaranteed paycheck for the rest of your life. Now, you're going to have other savings and do all that, and Social Security and everything, all that the three-legged stool, right? That'll be making up your retirement plan. But now with the defined contribution, really the focus has now shifted to accumulation. Okay? Now it's, gosh, I need to build this big bag of money as large as possible, still knowing that, yes, I need it to provide me an income, but we don't know what that's going to be. And gosh, now that I get there and I have this big bag of money, what's the number one fear of every person entering retirement? It's running out of money. Okay, so now that we have this big bag of money, how do we determine how much income it will provide? Gosh, it used to be that my employer told me how much I was going to receive for the rest of my life. Now that burden falls on me, and I need to try to figure out how much I can have, right? So I think subconsciously we all understand that, yes, I'm going to need income in the future, but more than not, I would say everyone is pretty much in agreement that the focus is trying to build that bag of money as large as possible, right? Okay, so looking at this gorgeous picture of this mountain here, I want to use this as an analogy for really our retirement or our financial journey. Okay, we're going to call it that way. All right, now as we look at this, if you were going to climb a mountain, first of all, what would your goal be? Would the goal be to get to the top? Some of you are probably shaking your head right now saying, Brent, that's pretty obvious. Yes. Okay, and let me rephrase that a little bit. What is the ultimate goal? And hopefully some of you are now catching on to what I mean by that. Wouldn't you say the goal is to get to the top? Yes, but make it back down safely? Yeah. Okay, this is going to be a financial metaphor for our journey with heading towards retirement as well. Up the mountain, this is our accumulation. Okay, this is going to be how much are we saving? What interest rate are we receiving? For how long are we contributing? Okay, and then we get to the top here, we plant our flag, but now it's, well, gosh, how much income is going to be provided? Distribution, right? Now let me ask you this. Is it possible, if we were climbing the mountain, is it possible that on the way down, you may use a different type of shoe or different types of ropes and clips and all that to come down? Is that possible? I'd say, yeah, it is. And if it's possible that you might need different equipment, shouldn't you know that on the start to be able to pack your bag down here? Because at the top, more than likely, you're not going to be able to call in a helicopter and say, hey, I forgot those shoes. Can you fly them up to me real quick? Okay, it's not going to happen. So it's the same thing with our financial lives. What we need to do is we need to begin with the end in mind. We need to focus on how do I generate maximum income without the fear of running out. And if it's possible that I need different financial vehicles coming down the mountain than perhaps the ones I need going up the mountain, shouldn't we have that packed in our bag all along the way? Or maybe it should be a requirement because you may not be able to do it later, right? Just to kind of solidify this idea of accumulation, which really the entire financial services industry is I don't want to say guilty of, but it's just that's been the focus. Remember a few years back, I believe it was an ING commercial. You had a couple walking down the sidewalk carrying that big orange number, and so they see their neighbor over the fence, and he says, "What is that?" And they say, "Well, that's my number needed for retirement. What's your number?" And the guy ended up, a bazillion, jillion, something. He had no idea. But the point is, the emphasis was all on what that number was, 1.2 million or whatever it might be. It said nothing about how much income that's going to generate. Think about your own situation right now. You may have a number that you're targeting, but have you spent much time really understanding how much income that will safely provide you in retirement? Okay, so I want to take a look at that here Okay, I want to transport ourselves. Let's say we are at the top of the mountain right now, and we have my keyboard here. We have our nest egg. We've built everything up, and we have $1 million. Okay. If we knew, and we're playing these mental gymnastics. Gosh, how much can I distribute? Again, do I have enough? The fear of running out, so on and so forth. If we knew that over 20 years we were going to average almost 13% on our account, okay, whether this is a 401k or whatever it might be, if we knew we were going to average almost 13%, would we feel pretty comfortable about taking a 10% distribution? Yeah. Okay, so our $1 million generates 100,000, and look, over that time, not only would we have received our $100,000 every year, our account would have doubled, would have went from a million to just over 2 million. That's pretty awesome, right? Now, some of you may be saying, well, Brent, we're never gonna get 12.7%. And I get what you're saying there. However, it's a little bit deeper than that. And subconsciously, you may know this. But when I say that we're going to average 12.7%, that's also a very specific number. Why did I use that? Why not 12? Why not 13? Where is that coming from, right? And actually, that is coming from the market performance from 1970 to 1989. The S&P 500 did an average of 12.7%. So this is legit. If you were retiring in 1970, that is your story. That is your life, right? But my question is, how is that 12.7% average calculated? Yeah, it's just like we learned in 3rd grade, right? You add up the sample size, all these numbers, and you divide by how many years it is. And that gives us 12.7. But in the real world, do we get averages, or do we get all these ups and downs that make up the average? Yeah, we get all the actual returns. Okay, so let's see what happens when we copy and paste the actual returns into our scenario here. What happened? We went from receiving our $100,000 every single year and doubling our asset base to now being dead broke between the 13th and 14th year. And notice, it's still an average return of 12.7%. Okay, now why is that? Okay, and it's because there's a huge difference now when we are taking money out of our retirement plan for income and compounding that with how the performance inside that plan happens. This first year, yes, we had a positive return, but we took out 10% and only earned 3.5%. We now have less of an asset base to generate that income in the future. Okay, and you can see, the story that's being told here. So, again, the number one fear is running out. We don't have any set thing telling us, hey, here's the paycheck that you're receiving for the rest of your life. So what do we do? Do we just guess? Some of you might be laughing. Maybe you've been there, or you know some people that have been there. But at the end of the day, what the financial services industry has done is they have attempted, they understand this as a problem, and they're attempting to solve that. Okay? And they've done that through what is called Monte Carlo simulations. Okay? Now, if you're not familiar with Monte Carlo, what that is it's basically thousands and thousands and thousands of iterations of different time periods, different asset mixes, stocks, bonds, high inflation, high interest, low interest, and it calculates the probability of maintaining a positive portfolio. Okay, probabilities of not running out of money. Okay, so here's how we read this graph. Down here at the bottom, years into retirement. All right, and these various curves are based upon the distribution rate that we plan on taking off of our portfolio in year one. Okay, so let's go down here to 8%. Right, if we take an 8% distribution, and let's just say we go over to 25 years, we're 25 years into retirement, you would have a 10% chance of having any money left. Or let me say it a different way. You would have a 90% chance of being dead broke. Okay, so it doesn't take a rocket scientist to then figure out, well, let's reduce our distribution rate, and that'll increase the likelihood that we don't run out of money. Makes sense, right? Now, if you just go Google the 4% rule, a lot of you are probably nodding your head. You've heard that before. It's been standard, acceptance lately that, years past leading up to now, that the 4% rule assumes that if you take a 4% distribution off of your asset base, your nest egg, that should put the odds in your favor that you're not going to run out. You're going to have a quote unquote that is a safe withdrawal rate. Okay, but if we go to 4%, and even at 25 years, there's a 10% chance that you will run out of money. And the problem is nowadays, longevity risk is a real threat to our portfolio, right? The longer we live, the longer that money that needs to be there to provide income, the greater the chances are that we run out. Okay, so and I would encourage you later today on the agenda is Dr. Wade Pfau. I really would encourage you to listen to him. He has been the front runner in challenging the retirement income planning industry that 4% is far too aggressive, and it might be more in the range of 3%, maybe even lower. Okay, but for this, so I definitely encourage you to check that out. He's a brilliant guy. Okay, so let's settle here though on 3.5% is that quote unquote safe withdrawal rate. Now, one thing I want to point out here: probabilities of not running out of money means that you have a positive portfolio, meaning you have at least $1 in that account. This is not saying the 11th commandment of thou shalt not spend principle, right? It's not saying that at the end of this time period, you're still going to have your $1 million or whatever you started with. It's saying here's the probability that you will have at least $1. Okay? So again, the number one fear is running out of money. So the Monte Carlo simulations attempt to solve that, at least give you the baseline of, hey, here's what the data says. Here's where the numbers lie, and does a pretty good job of assisting in stopping that problem, right? But it also creates another one. All right, and that problem is now extremely low distribution rates, 3.5%. What does that mean in the form of income? Well, let's say that you have your $1 million and you're now going to take 3.5% off of there. How much does that give you? Yeah, $35,000 per year. Now, I'd venture to say most folks out there that are retiring with $1 million, we're probably earning far more than $35,000 a year. I'm sure that you will agree. And I don't know what it is about this $1 million term. It just seems to have a nice ring to it. For most people that are retiring today, it seems like that's always kind of been the goal. But again, getting out of this mindset of accumulation, that $1 million means nothing. If you and I were in a car together and we had $1 million in the back seat of our in our car, and we were driving through the desert, we broke down, we ran out of gas, there was no civilization anywhere, how useful is that $1 million? Not very, right? Okay, so the emphasis is not on how much money do you have, it's what will that money do for you? What is the income that can safely be generated? And based off of Monte Carlo, here's where you are. Okay, so the reality is what we've found is most people need to be able to distribute, anywhere from 7 to 10% off of their nest egg to generate the income that is likely going to be needed, right? But I mean, we looked at that scenario with the numbers of using a 10% distribution on that 12.7% averaged rate of return time period, and we went dead broke, right? So how on earth can we accomplish this without the fear of running out, or still putting the probability in our favor that that we'll have a successful retirement income? Okay, so let's take a look at this. What we're starting to identify here are that retirement assets by themselves, okay, our 401ks, IRAs, our investment accounts, CDs, annuities, universal life insurance, all these various things, real estate, okay, can do phenomenal things for accumulation. Okay, they do a good job, or they can do a good job of getting us up the mountain and creating that big bag of money, right? Okay, but let me ask you this. I'm sure a lot of you out there have a 401k. You, I'm sure, probably own some real estate, at least your own residence, whatever it may be. Is there any rule out there that says, hey, your 401k can't lose value this year? No. Okay, is there anything saying that, hey, real estate properties can't lose value this year? No. Your investment account? No. Okay, is there any rule saying that they all can't lose value in the exact same year? No. Okay, so what that tells us is, look, when we are distributing income, interest rates and performance are now very, very sensitive to us as we are taking money out of these accounts. So what we need is another component. We need another companion to this picture. We need to add the perpetual wealth strategy. Okay, and what that is going to do is that is going to add whole life insurance to your plan. Okay, why? A number of reasons, but just to name a few, there is a guaranteed death benefit. Okay, there's a guaranteed cash value. 2008, when everyone's retirement accounts went down, everyone's cash value with a whole life policy went up. It is completely uncorrelated to the market. Okay, that is extremely powerful, as you'll see here in a minute. Okay, we've got the loan provision. There is waiver of premium. And I'm going to go ahead and stop there, just to name a few. Okay, so again, thinking back to the mountain, if we know that whole life insurance could be a potential solution to generating maximum income, which we're starting to shift our mind back towards creating income in the future, if we know that we are going to need that at that point, we better put it in our bag on the way up. We have to start balancing the relationship between all of our retirement assets and having whole life insurance. Okay? So when we look at this, the addition of whole life insurance to our plan really does create three options for increased income in retirement. Okay, and the first one is by using a tool that has nothing to do with market performance, fluctuating interest rates, high inflation, low inflation, has nothing to do with that. In fact, what we're going to use now is what's called actuarial science. Okay, actuarial science. Okay, the second one is we will be able to disrupt the primary assumption of the curves, Monte Carlo, being that we need to distribute income out of those accounts every single year. And the last one would be diversified retirement income. Okay, now, what we are focusing on today is this one right here, number one. Okay, there's a different presentation, Chad's, that he's going to be going over number two here. It's going to be awesome. But for the sake of today, right now, this is where we're going to focus. So let me show you how this works. Think of it like this. We've got person A and person B. Person A over here, as they were going up the mountain, They just focused on accumulation, building their retirement assets themselves, and just that alone. So retirement assets only. Okay, so let's just say that it was their 401k, all right? And let's say that they were able to accumulate $1 million. All right, now, again, from an income standpoint, how much income will that generate? Well, if we're going off of statistics and what everything is saying, and even understand that this, after we listen to Dr. Fowl, this may be a little aggressive, but at 3.5%, that will generate $35,000 per year in income. And oh, by the way, that is not guaranteed, right? High probability, but it's not guaranteed. Okay? Or person B over here, what they did is during their accumulation, they were building their retirement assets, their investment accounts, their real estate portfolio. They were building all these things, a business, okay? But they were also contributing dollars towards their whole life insurance policy. So they have retirement assets and whole life. Okay, and let's just say that because some of their contributions were going to whole life insurance and not all towards the retirement assets, they are going to enter retirement with $750,000. Okay, so $250,000 less than what person A has. Now that seems, again, with conventional wisdom, that seems so backwards, right? Like why on earth would we want $250,000 less? How could that be beneficial to us? Okay, and again, it's back to that idea of accumulation versus income. All right. Now, the reason that they don't have the full $1 million is because they've been contributing money to their whole life policy. And let's just say that when they enter retirement, they have a $750,000 death benefit. Now, most of you on this call, if not all of you, understand that there's going to be cash value in there. The way we structure policies, there's going to be a boatload of cash value in there. Okay, but that's not the example that we're going over here today. This is just focusing on what that death benefit is. Again, Chad's will bring in the cash value. Okay, so person B here, what they're able to do is they are able to think like the Romans. They're able to do as the Romans did. They are able to say, you know what? I've got my $750,000, but what I want to do is I want to trade that money, and I want to put it into an income annuity. Okay? I want to create my own pension, guaranteed income for the rest of my life. Now, historically, that payout rate, that distribution rate on that income annuity has been about 10%. Okay, now that depends upon your age and sex and a few other things, but has been around 10%. So person B here says, hey, insurance company, I'm giving you $750,000, and in return, I want you to guarantee me a pension. I want you to guarantee me income for the rest of my life. How much would that be? Yeah, that'd be $75,000 per year, guaranteed for life. Okay, now let's stop. So we started off $1 million versus $750,000. Oh gosh, I want to be person A. But when we now think of it in terms of income, would you rather have $75,000 a year guaranteed or $35,000 a year non-guaranteed? Right? It's pretty self-explanatory there. Okay, now Brent, what's the catch? There's got to be a catch. And there is. Okay, the catch is when this person passes away, when this person that was acting like the Romans passes away, that $75,000 per year stops, goes to zero. Oh boy, what happens now? What if there's a spouse involved? If there needs to be perpetual income to some degree, wasn't this poor planning? Yeah, great. I loved that we doubled the income during my living years, but gosh, my wife or my husband now is left with nothing. Right? I know some of you are already connecting the dots. What happens then? On that same day, this $750,000 goes into the spouse or beneficiary, whomever, whatever that may be, and they then can turn around and create a pension to whatever degree that they need. Maybe they still want the full same $75,000 per year, whatever it may be. Okay, so over here on the left, person A, when they pass away, how much goes to the spouse or beneficiary? If you were getting ready to say $1 million, I hope you caught yourself, because remember, that is not thou shalt not spend principle. We don't know what will be there, right? 3.5% just puts the odds in our favor that there will be at least $1. Okay? Whereas over here on person B, not only do they have more income during the years they are living and enjoying retirement, the spouse or beneficiary is not done a disservice because they have the exact same amount of death benefit as they did asset amount. In fact, think of this as asset insurance instead of life insurance. It is protecting that asset. It is a permission slip. It is a permission slip to enjoy more income. And guess what? You don't have the fear of running out. Okay, powerful, powerful stuff. Okay, so let's that's the strategy. That's the gist of it. Now let's take a look at the case study. Okay, again, this is a real life case study, but as all of my clients on the call today would expect and respect, all of our conversations are 100% confidential, right? So I did have to change the name of these individuals, and this was Clark and Ellen Griswold. I figured it was the right time of year. Let's be in the spirit, right? So Clark and Ellen Griswold here. They are both age 44. They have 2 children. Combined income is about $165,000. Their combined 401k accounts, $360,000. Combined investments, they had some brokerage accounts outside of that, is $125,000. And the contribution rate, okay, is they're saving $20,000 a year. Okay, so about roughly 12 or so percent of their salary. Okay, now a lot of you may be thinking, gosh, this is me. This is us. Some of you may be saying, you know what? Gosh, they have more than I do, or maybe you're fortunate enough to have far exceeding numbers than this. No matter what the situation is, this is totally scalable, and the results, which that's all we're focused on, more times than not, are always extremely favorable. Okay, there have not been too many cases to where the increased income that we can generate through the perpetual wealth strategy and through actuarial science, that we're not seeing increases in income of 30 to 50%. Okay, so again, this is a real case, but this is just an example. If you're far better, maybe a little less optimal, it's okay. All right. So back to this. They're a 25% tax bracket, and they hope to retire at age 65. Okay. So let's pull up here. Here is their scenario. All right. So back to this Clark and Ellen Griswold. What this is showing is, let me pull up some highlighters. All right. Down here, the way that's not highlighting very well. But the way that we analyze this is, look, during our accumulation phase, how can we be as efficient as possible with our cash flow and with the existing assets that we have? Okay, so to determine that efficiency and the best place to allocate dollars, we need a baseline, right? And what this baseline is showing is, hey, if you don't save another dollar for the rest of your working years, in this case it was 21 years, 44 to 65. Okay, if you don't save another dollar, because you already have funds there, they're going to hopefully grow and they're going to be there to give you income at 3.5%, right? Retirement assets only. That would generate about $60,000 per year. Okay, so that is our baseline. That lets us know that, hey, with what our current strategy is, where our $20,000 per year and our existing assets are, how that's going, how much more of an increase can we make? And that's right here in our retirement assets only strategy. Okay, this is showing that Clark and Ellen would have $95,768 per year of income. Okay, now this does not bring in Social Security. There may be emergency funds outside of that. This is just off of their income producing assets, their retirement assets only at 3.5%. Okay, $95,768. Now, how much of that is guaranteed? Zero, right? Yeah. Odds are in our favor, but nothing is then guaranteed. Okay, so the $95,768 is $36,000 more than what they would have if they chose to not save anything. Okay, so first of all, I had to pat them on the back. They're doing great by understanding that they need to pay themselves first and need to be tucking money away. So they're doing a great job there. However, when you look over here to the two economic powers, what we're focusing on today, that covered asset, where that terminology comes from is that death benefit. In my example, $750,000. The $750,000 is covering the asset amount of $750,000. Okay, so once we have a 1-to-1 ratio there, it is covered. Now, not everyone, because it depends on your age, your health, how much time you have to fund it. Not everyone will end with exactly the same amount of death benefit as they do their retirement accounts, their retirement asset. That's okay. All right, that's what we're shooting for. But anyways, in this scenario, what they were able to do is they were able to trade a portion of their retirement assets when they retire, and that would create $142,000 a year of income. Again, everything else is the same. No Social Security is factored into it. All right, and of that 142 number, 135 of it is guaranteed. That is a guaranteed paycheck. It shows up every single year to them, or month, however it wants to be done. Okay, so over these 21 years, by just rearranging the furniture a little bit, we are able to generate $83,000 above what they otherwise would have had instead of just 36. Pretty substantial. Okay, now I know you guys can see the screen here. So watch Chad's presentation. He's going over the other portion of this. Okay, but let's just look at a percentage increase on that. Let me pull up another calculator here. Interest rate. All right, so 95,768 versus 142,553 in 1 year. That is a 48% increase in income. And we were able to use the word guaranteed for a portion. Okay, now the best part about this was done with no out-of-pocket cost. It would be real easy for someone to be working with you, say, you know what? Yeah, we can increase your income in the future, but to do that, you need to save an extra $10,000 per year. Right? I mean, you need to stop taking your vacation, stop doing that, and we can show you more income. Okay, this was all done with just the money that they were contributing to their plan, moving it from their left pocket to their right pocket. All right, now some people that either get super excited about this and they say, "Gosh, you know what? We can save a little bit more. Let's add it to the plan. Where do we put those dollars?" That happens a lot. Or some people that are like, you know what, gosh, now it's really opened my eyes. Maybe I need to start saving a little bit more. Certainly that happens as well. But the goal, the starting point is always, what do you have available? Where is it currently going? And how can we be as efficient with that as possible? Okay. For my visual people down here, here's just a graph of the two. Retirement assets only versus using perpetual wealth strategy, thinking like the Romans, acting as they did, and creating guaranteed lifetime income through pension-like income annuities. Okay, just a graph down here at the bottom of the other benefits that are received, and you'll notice. Let me move this down a little bit. There's quite a lot of check marks over here. Okay, so increased death benefit, right, and the volatility control, and so on and so forth. You guys can obviously see the screen here. So can have drastic improvements for folks. Needless to say, Clark and Ellen were very, very excited, very appreciative. This really was able to make a large difference in their lives, and that was exciting to see. Let's get back to the drawing board here, and we'll wrap up. So, in closing, I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time to join here today. Investing in yourself and your education is always going to give you the largest rate of return. So, thank you for that. A couple of items. What I would encourage you to do: watch Dr. Fowle's presentation. I do believe it's later today. So watch that. Tune into Chad's. Okay, Chad's presentation. It's going to go hand in hand with what I did today, but focus on the cash value of the policy and the options that are there instead of the death benefit side. Take note, and he'll probably mention this. You don't have to pick one or the other today, right? It's not. Hey, in the future, this is the one I want to do. The fact of the matter is, both of those options are available to you when you retire. And the only reason they're available to you is by adding whole life insurance to your plan, right? Because without it, you are left at being at the top of the mountain without packing your bag for a vehicle that could have helped you get down. And by default, you are relegated to the distribution curves and a low income rate. That really does speak to the undeniable power of owning whole life insurance in retirement. It really can increase your overall income. Okay, so moving on. Also, go to Google, and I couldn't embed a link in here, or maybe I could have, but I couldn't figure it out. So go to Google and type in Forbes Improving Retirement Outcomes FOW. Okay, and it should be the first link that pops up. It's a great article dialogue with he and another gentleman through Forbes, and inside of that, there's also a white paper that was done by Dr. Fowle that really gets in depth to it. If you're a numbers person, if you really want to dive into that, check that out. It's pretty. It covers all bases. Again, I mentioned he has been the front runner in leading the charge with the retirement income industry, and so he obviously needs to dot all of his I's and cross all of his T's. Next thing, contact your existing wealth strategist. Again, maybe this is something that you guys have discussed. Maybe it's not, and if it's not that he or she is not doing the right thing for you. Again, it might have just been you're at a different phase in life, and touch base about it and go over there. My clients that are on, we may not have talked about this either, and that's okay. Again, we'll have our review. We'll chat if it's the right time, or if you want to learn more or see the work that we've done, how it will incorporate into this. I'll be happy to do it for you. Visit our website. We have tons of information on there. ParadigmLife.net. If you are a referral from an existing client, whether it's mine or someone else, ask for some information. Have someone hop on the phone with you for 15-20 minutes, just kind of see what's on your mind and determine where things could go from there. Okay, always happy to do that. Last thing here, I'm going to add 6. I'm going to put take control of your retirement. and specifically your retirement income. Find your true north by being able to think like the Romans, act as they did, and create a pension with your plan. Thanks for tuning in today, guys. Have a great rest of the day.